It's a funny thing about life. If you refuse to accept anything but the best, you very often get it. That's a quote by the writer W. Somerset Maugham. Don't quote me on the pronunciation of the last name there, but it really stands out for me. I'm going to repeat it just so that you could really take it in. It's a funny thing about life. If you refuse to accept anything but the best, you very often get it. As in, get it is the best. As in, you get the best. If you refuse to accept anything but the best, you get the best. And it's crazy. Like, it seems so simple. And, as my nieces or my students when they were younger might have said at one point, duh, like, isn't it obvious? But for some reason, this did not register for me in most of my life when it came to dating and relationships. In other areas of my life, I was always making sure I didn't settle for anything but the best. I was, the way that I was teaching, where I went to study, how I studied, who I wanted to learn from, who I wanted to learn dance from, how I wanted to learn dance and be surrounded by the culture and even the cities and the countries where that dance originated. I pulled out all the stops in terms of, is that the right phrase? Anyway, you know what I mean? I did not stop, maybe is what I wanted to say, in making sure that I really learned from the ground up and that I took it to, like when I was teaching or writing or traveling, I wanted to do things that were unique and creative and my own way. And I feel like I was really trying not to settle for anything but the best. But when it came to relationships, and I'm going to try to use the past because sometimes it's still happening to me, but I'm so much more aware of it. I would settle and I think about it and I realize like what that quote was saying in terms of, if we refuse to accept anything but the best, in my mind, I didn't know that I could have a choice because in relationship, you're dealing with another person. So they have to choose to be with you in order for you to choose them, was my understanding. And a lot of times I was in the scarcity mindset and not setting healthy boundaries, all the things that I've been talking to you guys about in my last few videos. And so subconsciously, I thought that what I was getting was like all that I could get. And this is not a criticism to the other people in my life or the partners or whatever. It was just that our dynamic either wasn't healthy or wasn't the right fit, or I was ignoring so many red flags. I wasn't really being myself. I wasn't really expressing what I really wanted. And all of these things were like a form of settling, and I wasn't accepting the best. I was doing the opposite. So of course I would get not the best. And a lot of times it kind of would throw me like, why is this area of my life not working out? And I've been sharing with you in my last few videos about ways that we can become aware of what we are doing to attract or think that we deserve less than what we want. And one of the things I had suggested was making sure that if there are people around you, even if they're friends and well-meaning people, because I'm sure I've been one of these people that have said things like that, like if they say things like, oh, relationships are really hard to come by, or men only want to date younger women, or women are only out to date men with certain jobs or certain income levels, or there aren't enough great men or women in my city, like whatever it is. Even if you think that you have a belief in that, they say that a belief is a thought that we just keep thinking. So what if we could open our minds to think that maybe our belief has evidence to the contrary? Like, are there examples out there of relationships that have been easy to find, and that it doesn't matter what age the person is? Like, I can already name and think of a lot of guys that I know that actually are really attracted to older women. So that already belief is shot out the window. Some people, like I know people at different ages that have found someone like in their 80s, or like from their 20s to their 80s. I mean, people have told me that women can have kids at a certain age. I know at least 5 women that had kids in their 40s, and some of the easiest pregnancies that they ever had. But the point is that there probably are really great men and women out there in your city, in my city. I know people who have met people in a really small town where there were only like 100 and something people, and it was not even supposed to be possible to meet their significant other, and they did, and they got married, and they're super happy. And so these beliefs that we have get trained in our minds because of other people's thinking, and because we keep hearing the belief and we keep saying it to ourselves, and so we think it's true, but it isn't always true. And it's impossible for you to have met all the women or all the men in the world to be able to say all men are like this or all women want this. And so I would say, like, I'm just repeating kind of what I mentioned in my last videos, but to be open to the possibility that maybe your belief that you think you have or you think is true is not true, and to find evidence. Keep your eyes and ears open to evidence to the contrary of your belief, and you'll be so surprised, because you'll keep finding more and more examples of things that contradict what you were originally thinking. And then when you're around people that keep saying, like, oh, it's so hard to find relationships or whatever, either stay away from those people, and so that you can get some space from them, and you're not always like ingraining in your mind these thoughts that actually are not helpful to any of us. Or speak up and say, actually, I know someone that met someone through online dating, and now they're married and really happy. And or even just put the question out to your friends or acquaintances, like, what if it's not true? So try to be the person that changes the thinking, because that helps you to remind yourself to stay open to other possibilities, that maybe that belief is just from a scarcity mindset, from programming from before. And so one thing that I have been doing recently, which is, so I meet people who maybe don't have the same belief as me. Like, they don't think that that relationships are easy to come by, or they do have a scarcity mindset. And these are not just friends of mine, but people that could be potential romantic, like, relationships. Like, they'll say to me that they're interested, or that they want to hang out, or something like that. And at first I am open to it, and then I very quickly realize that we're not looking for the same thing. And part of the reason they're not looking maybe for like a serious long-term relationship is because they maybe don't believe that that can work. Or maybe they're in a situation where they just got out of a long relationship and they're not excited about doing that. And so I remember this quote that I shared with you, and I think, okay, I want to not, I want to refuse to accept anything but the best. And the best for me, I know, is that I need to be in a relationship that has the potential to go somewhere. I'm not going to be in something casual or something that is just like, let's hang out. And no, it doesn't work for me. And so the thing is that when we have this training in the back of our heads that maybe it's not possible to find that, or we're frustrated that we haven't found the the person that we want in our lives, we can start accepting less than the best. And we can convince ourselves that it's okay because we know what we really want. We've said it to the person in front of us. They know. So everything's good. And if that person is saying, hey, while you're looking for Mr. Right, why don't we hang out? Like, what's the harm in hanging out? It's very easy to start second guessing yourself and thinking, yeah, well, maybe they're right. Like, it's not going to do any harm. But actually, it really can, because your energy starts going into that direction, like into that person's direction. Other people, like when you're hanging out with this person, other people will think that, like, if I'm with someone that's, not wanting the same thing that I want, and I'm just hanging out with him, other people are going to think that we're together. And maybe my Mr. Right is out there and he's like, oh, I would really be interested, but she's with someone, or because it looks like I'm with someone, or I will not see these people that could be potential better matches for me. And you also don't realize how much you can get into the habit of being with someone. Even if it's not the right person, even if you know it's not the right person, you can get into a habit of being with someone, and that habit is hard to kick after a while, even if you thought that it would be fine. And I don't believe that a person that is worthy of me being in their company, or me, like, or caring about me, is going to say, well, I want to pull you away from what you want so that I can have what I want. Let's do this. No. So I have a response that I say to these guys that give me this quote unquote offer, which to me is not actually an offer at all. It's kind of, it's sad, and it doesn't make me feel good. I say, when a guy says, hey, why don't we hang out while you're waiting for Mr. Right? Because I'd really like to spend time with you. And so I say, well, but how will he find me if I'm over at your place? And it's funny because I get all kinds of reactions. Some guys will laugh. Some guys will really think about it. And they're like, yeah, I guess not. I guess so. But mostly, I think when I say that and I really feel it, it empowers me to remind me what I'm looking for, and that I want to refuse to settle for anything but the best for me. And the person in front of me can feel that. They can feel my conviction and my commitment to myself, that I'm not going to betray what I really want. And they stop asking. And that can feel like a scary thing. Trust me. Like, when I say things like that and guys laugh, or they say, oh, okay, or they, they can see that I'm really meaning it and I'm clear about it. And then I don't hear from him or hear from them, and it can be scary, but more than that, it's so scary to think what would have happened if I had just said yes to this person. Because that's not, I don't want to have spent all my life looking for this amazing relationship to end up in something that is obviously not amazing because the person is not valuing like what I want, and we're not in alignment with what I want, and that should be really important to me, which it should be really important to you as well. So feel free to borrow my line. It really works, and it makes me feel like the person that is out there for me felt that, like he heard it, he felt my shift in my energy, and I feel like he's saying thank God, because I would just want her to be more ready, because I'm coming and I'm going to be there soon. But yeah, so I'm not going to waver. I'm going to make sure that I settle for nothing but the best. And I wanted to put that reminder out to you guys if you are wanting to do the same. Whatever your best is, like maybe what I want is not what you're looking for at all, but whatever your best is, don't settle. Don't let other people convince you that, you know, you can take a little detour somewhere and hang out and do whatever, because you don't want someone to take you off your path. It's your path, and you get to decide what you want in your life. And I'm finally realizing that that is it in our love lives as well, not just with our careers or our travels or what we learn or how we study. It can be applied to everything. Thanks for listening.